Woo! All right. Woo! We are here. We are ready to rumble. Hi, guys. I am Lauren House with my show Beyond the House. We are on the social Nostra network, and today I have Kerry Feirman on my show. She owns a digital media production company. She is also an on-camera personality, host, broadcaster, and she's very talented at what she does, and she's multifaceted. So I just want to bring her on because she and I became friends about a year ago, and we've created a very strong friendship, but we are also two very strong women and personalities and have different points of view. And we just wanted to have a conversation about what that looks like, that friendship between strong women and then strong women in business. So thank you, Kerry, for joining me today. And so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me, Lauren. I'm excited to be on your show.
Yay. Okay. So you want to give us a rundown real quick of where you're at with things and how you got there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so right now I have a digital media company, as you just said, digital media production. And I really started, so I do, just to kind of, I guess, give people the bigger picture, it's like packaging content. So I do the in front of the camera hosting, interviewing, in-field events, that kind of stuff. It just depends what I'm doing exactly, because we get hired to do an array of different things. Prior to the situation of the world now, it was primarily sports, which was a lot of traveling, but clearly that's shifting gears a little bit. And so I really started, I was working in Los Angeles and I was working in the hospitality industry for a big company. And I was just kind of like getting to the end of I had a great job. So I'm not saying it was a bad job. It was a great job. It just wasn't something I was passionate about anymore. And I was kind of just, I had been doing some sports hosting, teleprompter readings, just kind of, reading from a teleprompter and basic stuff. And then one day my friend, kind of searching, me and my friend, another amazing, strong woman, we're having a conversation about just kind of like, what next, And she was like, you're great at the sports stuff and you love tennis. Why don't you maybe take a class, and look into hosting tennis stuff and just see if you like it. And I was like, oh, yeah. And she's like, not many women, like, in your demographic really can just talk tennis and get so excited about it. And that's, true. So I thought, okay. And she gave me a recommendation for this class with a woman named Marky Costello in Los Angeles, who's a very well-known hosting teacher. She's got a school in Santa Monica. And then she also, represents some of your biggest names in the hosting world, like Jason Kennedy and just so many others. She had a reality show on E! for a minute. I think it only went one season, but okay, she's like a big personality, but she's great at what she does. And I was very inspired by her. I took her boot camp and then basically started doing this tennis thing kind of as a side project, right? As a hobby while I was working my full-time job in hospitality. And it just picked up. Some people started kind of pinging me via YouTube, which is where it landed for the only place it was landing for a while. And asking me to do little segments for their online magazine or for their product that they were trying to get out there. And it just kind of snowballed from there. So yes, I had it is a strong emphasis on tennis, but it did spread out in the last couple of years to all sports. So did stuff for March Madness. We've done stuff for Stanley Cup, some golf stuff. And that's very exciting. That was very exciting for me because I want to broaden the horizons as much as I love tennis, and it is my baby and it always will be. So yeah, but now, I usually travel a lot through the summer, and that's been put on hold because the state of sports is a little bit like right now. And I do a lot of the lifestyle events where I get to know the players more off the court, off the field, off, out of the rink or whatever. And so yeah, those aren't happening, those events right now, a lot of them. And so I kind of, going with the flow and doing other things, random other little gigs for other topics beyond the sports world. And so that's been fun too.
I feel like that's going to be a really good challenge for you. You've been doing this for how many years?
It's been about 6 or 7. Yeah, maybe 7 at this point. I want to say, I always think I'm younger than I am. And so, I'm always like, oh, it's been like 5 years. It's been like 10. No. Hey, that's 10 years.
Whatever keeps you young.
There's no way a decade went by that fast. Yeah. No, it's probably been actually like about 7.
So this is like such a great opportunity to keep you well-rounded, keep you challenged, and then, like you said, broaden your horizons. And then that will make you more appealing to any company who comes to you because you have many more industries. I don't know what topics in your portfolio.
Yeah.
You kind of bring a little more to the table.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, you've got the skill set, right? And it's just like, I was sticking in an area that I was more knowledgeable in. I know a lot about tennis. I know a lot about sports. I love sports. They get me hyped. So now I might have to, go into some areas that I'm not as knowledgeable about. And I have to learn more things, put in more effort to learn. And then, not that I didn't put in effort, you have to keep up with sports and stuff, but you know what I mean? Kind of like start from scratch, I guess. And so it's like we've got the digital media production skills, the equipment, everything's there, but just kind of opening up the horizons. And it's cool because I was so busy pre-COVID, I was so busy with sports stuff and traveling. And I had always thought about wanting to go into other things as well, be it, lifestyle stuff, more entertainment, fashion, whatever here and there. I love sports. I didn't want to leave it, but dabble. And I just didn't have the time. I would always be like, okay, I want to do this. I want to do this. But then I just could never find the time. Constantly overwhelmed with other work. And so now I've got some time to explore other worlds. And so that's good. It's a good thing.
A little bit of a blessing in disguise, it sounds like.
Yeah. You got to look at the glass as half full. My travel's been canceled for the rest of the year. Okay. Not awesome, but awesome because now I can do some other things that I didn't have the time to do before, but have wanted to do.
I know. I love that. That makes me happy. It'll be good for you. Just a good growing experience,
Yeah. And quite frankly, I've been wanting to feel like the older I get, the more I want to keep my feet kind of planted in one place a little bit more. So, I had been saying over the last year or two, I'm going to travel less next year. I'm going to travel less. Well, and that came true, not for the right reasons, but that
came to a screeching halt.
Yeah, so I was like, travel less. I didn't mean not travel at all, but no, I mean, for the wrong reasons, but I'm, able to keep my feet planted more and explore other things, not only in my work life, my professional life, but my personal life that were hard when you're traveling all the time. So,
yeah, well, it's a very interesting career path that you've chosen. I feel like there's not a ton of people out there that are in your situation where you're on screen, on camera, and behind the scenes and do everything from filming to producing to editing and everything else that goes into it. Those are the only 3 things I know. So I'm going to stop there.
Well, I am an okay editor. I know what can and can't be done because I've been in the production side. So I can point and like, okay, you do this and then let's make this do this. I just don't know how to execute. I wanted to be more of like the quadruple threat, and, I have videographers, I have editors and those kinds of people around, and I have an amazing team, but you're always stronger the more knowledge you have, right? And the more you can do yourself. I don't want to take their jobs, but like I make their jobs easier when I can tell them exactly what I want and how to do it if they're not sure what I'm talking about. So that's been cool, kind of.
I feel like if you're going to be the boss, though, you kind of have to know all the different arenas in which are the foundation or building blocks to your company. You can't dole out the responsibility if you're not familiar with it, because like you said, that person's going to come back and ask you a million questions. And if you don't have an answer for it, you have no direction to lead them in.
Right. So, with production, it's like the producer kind of would oversee all of the different steps and be familiar. I just wouldn't be able to like sit in the editing chair and like make this graphic move from here to there type thing. But I know that it can be done. So, you have an understanding of all of the moving parts. But now I have, been educating myself over the last couple of years to know how to shoot with the camera how to edit, while I might not be as good and talented as the people who that's their full-time gig. It's cool to be able, if I get desperate, which I did one time, and I filmed a whole event on my own, which I don't want to ever do again.
Made you appreciate your videographer that much more.
I'm like, film equipment is so much and so heavy. I'm lugging around this huge amount of equipment on my back, then I'm planning it. I'm sweating by the time I'm in front of the camera. I look terrible. And so it just doesn't, but it was a great experience. And yes, you learn to really appreciate the people who are carrying around so many pounds of equipment and tripods and whatever,
So since we're staying on this business topic, are there any strong females? You mentioned one, I don't know her name, Marky something, who have helped shape your career, who has given you advice, who maybe led you in the wrong direction, who somebody maybe that you looked up to and things didn't pan out? You know what I'm asking?
Yeah. Well,
how does that strong woman decide to guide as a mentor to another strong woman who maybe doesn't have as much experience, but has that personality that isn't just a yes person?
Mm-hmm. Well, so, in my opinion, I've always been a girl's girl. I have plenty of guy friends and girlfriends, but I am very motivated to empower women. I try to keep as many on my team as possible. And I try to keep it, a majority really, because I think that that's just something we need to do to continue to grow as women and to, help the future generations and everything. And we've made such strides over the years that it would be nice to rid women of this stereotype of being catty and competitive with each other, that men don't have. And so, and it's unfortunately, it's not gone. It's still a thing that sticks with us. And so I think that coming up in business can be a strong world, like a media world, a production world that's male dominated, really, it can be a tough thing. And so us women have to stick together. And I have definitely had experiences where I am so grateful for certain women, and they have been hugely influential in my success and in my life. And then, there's a couple that enforce that what's that thing that looms over our head, that dark cloud that looms over, what is it? The stereotype, I guess, I was looking for a different word, but
yeah,
some women that, have made me be like, ugh, right. And have been, so I would say women have been my greatest asset to my growth, and women have been my greatest downfall and hurdle also. Not many on this side, but a couple, I can think a couple, and they were very harmful at certain times, which is unfortunate. And
what is the demeanor between a woman who is wanting you to be successful and the demeanor between a woman who is a little bit more malicious or less encouraging? Someone who, is it like a physical thing? Like, oh, you're skinnier than me, you're taller than me, you're prettier than me? Or is it like a business thing? Is it a power move? Like, what's your experience with that?
Yeah, well, it comes in all different forms, right? And so I'll just give you a few examples. I was working a tennis tournament, and I was very excited about this job. And this guy that I was working next to, he's an incredible journalist, and he was so welcoming to me, which made me feel good because I'm new and nervous to meet everybody. And he introduces me to this woman. We're walking, and he goes, oh, hey, I want you to meet Kerry. She's going to be working with me for this whole tournament. And she goes, wow, it must be such a hard time working with her. No, like, hi, and so that was a straight, like a look up and down, and then a
slap in the face,
a clear comment just based on my physical appearance, which, okay, like, thank you, but no, thank you. It's like, I'm standing on my hand, like, hi, I'm Kerry. Like, why are we judging each other on appearance regardless, So that I don't like very much. There was another job that, someone who I'm friends with behind the scenes kind of said, oh, need somebody pretty, but not too pretty. And I'm like, do they ever say that about guys on the broadcast?
No.
Something like, hey bro, we want to get a guy, but like, he can't be too good looking, not too handsome.
Or
like
too, masculine.
Like, come on.
No.
So,
No.
So there's that. And then like, but then on the other side, on the flip side, I have women that have been so helpful and encouraging and really, have provided stepping blocks for me. For example, I have these women that I work with in a lot of different events, and they're always calling me to come on board with whatever they're doing. They had this huge event that I was in New York to work US Open events, and they call me and they say, hey, this hotel is doing an event with Serena Williams, Rafael Nadal, Venus Williams, Nick Kyrgios, Misha Zverev, and Sasha Zverev, and they need a host. They need an EMC. They don't have one last minute because they dropped off or something like that. Did something happened? Do you want to do it? And I was like, little old me, I was like, you want me to EMC this massive event that normally is EMC'd by hosts that are on TV regularly on Entertainment Tonight or whatever, that you see them all the time. And I'm like, yeah, immediately my heart just, was beating on my chest. But it was a huge opportunity for them to throw my way and kind of take a risk on me, because obviously I'm going to be more of a risk than, somebody who's already,
got a name for themselves out there, well known.
You immediately recognize them. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And so then they showed my reel and stuff to the hotel people who needed to make the decision. And they said, and they loved the reel, but they were like, okay, but do you think she's going to be, this is a big, big superstars, big event. Is she going to be able to do this? And they were like, oh, come on, this is what she does. Like, they just were so there for me, behind my back and in front for me. You know what I mean? And that was a very influential event for me. I ended up getting written up in a ton of magazines. My name is now next to Serena Williams in, big articles. And it was a huge thing. So there's that kind of a thing. And like, even to this day, they always call me when they have events or they have new things going on to try and involve me. And it's a mother-daughter pair, and they have a company called AYS Sports Marketing. And, I'm really grateful for them and for the things that they've done for me. And actually the woman who was the manager of this particular hotel too, also was so that woman too. Like, she was just there, and she was like so supportive and encouraging, not like looking at me nervous. Is she going to do a good job? Which would have been expected, but she was just so warm and so encouraging, and like, us women got to be there for each other. She even said that at one point, and I was like, oh yeah, and made me feel so much better about it versus the like kind of judgy, like, how are you?
Gosh, can you imagine if they had been that? Yeah. Can you imagine if they had given that judgy, kind of unsure of you, not only looks, but verbal cues? Your confidence would have been, and your vibe would have been completely different going up there. You would have gone up there probably shaking in your boots. You wouldn't have had confidence, but because everybody instilled so much confidence in you that day, and they knew you were perfectly capable of the job, you probably hit it out. I know you, so I know you did it very well, but I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, it's special.
That's such a like, and it means so much more that any kind of, whether it's like I think you're pretty, or it's a business move like this, it means so much more coming from a woman to a woman.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And so that was, I could go on, the girl I had the conversation about initially who encouraged me to get into hosting and take the class, she's, someone I will forever be grateful for, because she changed the course of my life. And I wouldn't have had it not been for that conversation and that advice. And, she gave me information. And then, it's like another girl who got me, my first big network job, it was so there for me.
Either way, I think that this kind of actually overlaps with the next thing we wanted to discuss, which was friendships among strong women. Yeah. So you obviously have a great friendship with these people, and a great friendship doesn't mean you talk to them every single day. Like, you have your friends you talk to every day and you're kind of in the flow with them. And then you have your friends that you haven't talked to in whatever it's 2 months, 6 months, 2 years. and you can pick up the phone and it's exactly where it left off. And maybe it's, you know, with social media these days, maybe it's comments or likes or those kinds of messages. But I would say that it's really important to keep your strong women who are advocates for you around, because I like what we have, which is we have very different perspectives on certain topics, mainly dating. We are just we're two peas in a pod in so many ways. And then when it comes to dating, you and I have totally opposite views on almost everything. But I respect and I admire that not only do you have the courage to tell me what you think and to give me advice, but you listen to what I say, and you know that I'm open to what you say, and I know that you're open to what I say. And I think we each bring a new perspective to the situation. Like, oh, I didn't really think of that, because sometimes it's hard to think of something when it's outside your experience or lens. So
yeah, I think that's the kind of friendship women should strive to have, right? Because too often I think we you know, when you're younger, you get in friendships that you just kind of like fuel each other's fire, but you don't really like, you're like, yeah, he was terrible when he did that, da, 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 instead of kind of being like, well, maybe you should look at it this way, you know? And I think some of those friendships grow into adulthood, the ones that aren't like functional, you know, they're like a little bit toxic. And that's a lot where sometimes women get those stereotypes too, you know, because they get like, and they have blow-ups and fights, and friends aren't supposed to fight. Friends can have disagreements and have conversations like you and I do when we don't agree and give different perspectives, but like we don't fight, you know.
Yeah.
And
they're always friendly. They're always respectful and considerate. And I always say you're like the best deliverer of, well, maybe you should do this. And you're so sweet when you do it. And I'm the exact opposite. I'm blunt and like, well, did you think of this? And it's like, I have to like think of you and I'm trying to channel that. Okay, soften the blow.
I'm glad that you said that, because I'm not sure everybody would agree with that, but it makes me happy to hear that you're saying that.
For me, yes, you are such a great deliverer. I feel like everybody, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can say anything you want as long as you say it nicely. And there's no need to criticize your friends for making this decision or not making this decision. It should be somebody that you go to and have conversations with and problem solve. And I kind of wonder, as you were just talking, I was wondering if like the way you and I operate, or just a strong friendship in general, is because we are both business minded and we can't just leave a problem unsolved. They all need a resolution. And I think that could be where the helping comes in, instead of being catty or maybe being jealous, like that your friend just went on 6 dates and it's going well and I'm still single over here. Whatever that may be, the topic may be. I feel like typically it's dudes. So that's why I keep going back to that.
Well, it's that or work, or, you know, because there are plenty of friends too that I have, right, that I look at and I'm like, God, she's kicking ass in the work world. Like I have done great things and I'm really happy with where I've gotten, you know, I've worked hard, but I still want to climb more. And then I have friends that I'm like, oh, I wish I was there. But the difference is I'm not like, ugh, you know, it's like I'm encouraging. It's like, while there's that, like, I'm jealous of where you are, but I love you, you're kicking ass. Or looks wise, like, you know, if I think a girl looks great, I mean, the other day I was at the pool and this girl was wearing this bright pink bikini. She was super tan. And I was like, I mean, she looked great. And I wanted the bikini probably because she looked so good in it. So we'll see when it arrives if it looks the same on me, especially my porcelain skin. But like, she sold it for me, and I told her, I was like, "You look awesome in that bikini. I kind of want to copy it. Where did you get it?" And she was, you know, so flattered. And so for me, while I might have been very jealous of her tan, since I am like Snow White, and she had a killer body, I'm like, damn girl, you go girl, you know, not like, oh God, look at her, you know, and I hate when girls do that.
Which that's the easier route to take. But at the same time, that just boils down to how happy you are with yourself on the inside. Because if you're not happy with yourself, anyone who's prettier, taller, whatever, better, more successful, has a husband and you don't, whatever it is, that's going to eat at you. And that's all that you're judging them on. And then it comes out through your actions, through your voice, through your facial expressions. So I think it takes a lot of confidence to tell another woman, I think you're pretty, I like your outfit, you know, congratulations on closing that deal, whatever it is, it takes a lot of confidence. It's not easy. And I think that it's a skill that can be honed, but I think that there's a nice way to go about it instead of, like you were bringing up examples in the beginning of this, saying how some people, it's a backhanded comment.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I worked with such an amazing videographer for so many years. She's a woman videographer, which is very unusual because you got to carry around a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And she's now having a child. She's in LA and she's having a child, which is awesome. We're doing a virtual baby shower soon. And right, how cool. And the new normal. And she was one of those very influential women in my coming up in this world, because listen, we all have insecurities at times, right? And it was just impossible to go into some of these big events. I mean, I am lucky in the sense, it's a two-sided thing, right? I'm lucky that I kind of got in front of major athletes very quickly, but then it's scary as hell when you haven't really done it much and you're just thrown to the sharks and kind of is a sink or swim thing, you know? And then I'm feeling like I'm getting nasty looks, or I'm insecure about the way I look or the way I'm presenting. Am I asking the right questions? Am I da-da-da-da? So in your head, and then, you know, some people are there and they're going to encourage you, and some people are there because they'd like to see you fail because you're their competition or you're whatever, you know? And she was always like, whenever someone would make me feel bad about myself in whatever way it was, not just physically, but, you know, my presentation or whatever, she would always say, anyone who's, you know, like that, it's just because they're insecure about you. You are making them insecure because you are good at what you do. And so take it as a compliment. And it took a while, but you got to internalize that. So now, even today in everyday life, when a woman gets kind of snarky, or if anybody gets snarky with me, it's like, well, you know what? Their internal struggle with their insecurity with themselves is more painful than what they just said to me. So I actually feel bad for them, because if you're having that reaction to somebody, then you're going through a lot of internal crap that we've, I think, all maybe at one point in life felt that, you know, I don't ever want to, those feelings, they're not good feelings. So that's just what I think. Try to think, at least. You know, I have my snappy moments, but I'll snap back. No, I'm kidding, but
well, we're all human.
Yeah.
But we do have, like you said, we have our days, we have our moments, but I think overall, you kind of have to shed those people who just don't bring the positivity to the friendship, to the work business, even if it's work business, to the business relationship. You kind of have to give them a few chances. At least I always do. I'm sure you have at some point in your life. And you give them a few chances. You address the situation. You give them time to resolve it. And maybe it's an internal issue and maybe it's not. But then when things aren't changing, it's really hard to keep them around. And I know that if you and I were to ever get into a major fight, it would for sure be we would address it. We would talk through it. We would like hash it all out till there was nothing left to talk about.
Yeah.
And it would, like, the friendship would be stronger in the end, instead of you and I trying to destroy, or instead of, if I'm the insecure one, bringing you down to my level by verbally or however I'm going to take you down with me, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, we would never, I think, say super hurtful things. We're going to disagree and maybe one day get into a quote unquote
fight. Yeah.
Disagreement, you know? So yeah, but then going back to kind of, you know, our friendship, and I have all of my close friends are women that are strong in their profession and strong in their personality, and strong, just overall auras. That's the kind of woman that I like to be around too, because that's the kind of woman that lifts me up. That's the kind of woman that lifts other women up, that makes women look good. And in my opinion, and so that's the circle that I personally try to run in. And, you know, I love what women who are working in real estate and kicking butt, you know, or like taking all of these steps and showing the younger generations, like, you can do it, you know? I mean, listen, it's not easy, but this is women women rock.
That's
Great articulation skills right now. They're just getting better and better as the hours go by today.
Women rock. The end. Thank you for joining.
Felt like that one really punched it home, you know?
No, I feel like we've covered it all. I just think that if you're going to be in a true friendship or a true relationship of any sort, whether it's a family member or business, romantic or friendship,
yeah,
you got to listen to and honor and be open-minded. The other person's perspectives, what they have to say, they have different experiences than you have. So if they're older than you, instead of looking at them and saying, hey, I don't really think that you know what you're talking about, why don't you take that as something that you should be soaking up and move into that space of, well, they're wiser than me. They have an experience that I don't have. Well, how do I incorporate this, but still find my way instead of just shutting them out? Because I feel like that's what most people do. They just think that they know best and I'm going to ask you your opinion, but I don't really care. It's going to be totally discounted.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards you come crawling back like, well, you were right. I should have listened to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I've done that with friends, it's like, I warned you, you shouldn't do this, whatever the situation may be.
Yeah.
And I get it. I'm one of those. I got to put my foot in the fire. That's just my personality. I want to figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
So, but I've learned over the years to listen to other people because they do bring value. People aren't just BSing you. And hopefully if they are, you can weed them out or they're going to weed themselves out prior to going down some serious business road. And then all of a sudden, however many days, weeks, months, years down the road, you're going, okay, well, that was all BS just to string me along in the wrong direction, which I do think that there are some people out there who do that.
Yeah. Well, actually, you just kind of made me think of something. It is important who you let into your life though, too. Unfortunately, I wish that everybody was trustworthy in this world, right? And everybody was loyal. That's not the case, as we know. And I think sometimes I can be loyal to a fault, and unfortunately, right. I think we all have, right? And then you have that experience and you get a little bit more, you get burned, you get a little harder and a little harder and a little harder, which sucks because, I hate to think, oh, I've become hardened to certain things, but I guess that's just life. Sometimes you need to listen, I think, but form your own perspective. I don't know. I had an experience where I really trusted someone. They helped me get a certain job and I was so grateful to them that I just trusted them. I blindly, did whatever they said. And essentially they were my boss and a higher position than me in this job. And I was so grateful and just whatever you need. And I thought she had my best interest at heart. And while I think she did have my best interest at heart, she kind of encouraged me to do certain things that got me in trouble, shall we say. And I only got in trouble because, okay, I'll go into more detail, but basically led me down a road that got me in trouble and then didn't defend me when it was no, she only did this because I encouraged her to push the boundaries. You know what I mean? And so let's not take it out on her. There was basically this when I was newer or whatever, and I wanted to go above and beyond for this job. I was so excited to have it. And I just really did 3 times the amount of work that was required of me. Anytime anyone asked anything of me, I would take the extra hours and stay. I was working 14-hour days by choice because I wanted to just do this killer job for them, have them always ask me back. Yeah, and that's just the kind of worker that I am. I'm not okay, let me just get the job done and be done with it. I'm no, let me do it and do it to the best of my ability, even step above and surprise them with extra stuff that, is extra credit. And so I did that, and the woman that there was a woman that was a little higher than me in the department. And I guess she was a little threatened by how much work I had done because I guess I, as one single person, and I'm saying this because I was told this by somebody who works behind the scenes, so that's why I know this information, because I remember this woman just really kind of attacked me and I didn't understand why. I'm but I was doing so much work. Why are you mad I'm doing so much work? And then basically someone told me you made her look bad unintentionally because I outworked her whole team, me as one person. I produced more content. And so she blocked a lot of that from being seen by the higher ups, and then just sent emails about certain missteps that I had made, because we all make missteps, right? Especially when you're new. So I made a couple small missteps, and she made sure to call all of those out, like, and CC every higher up possible, but then also not make sure that most of the good work that I was doing wasn't even seen. So, and then the friend comes in here, and the friend kind of encouraged me to like push the boundaries a little bit, because I think they didn't love this other woman, rightfully so, because she's that woman that I was talking about previously.
That was true colors. Not
the one that helps us women grow, but then behind the scenes, she just didn't come and have my back, and that sucks. That was disappointing. And I feel like, she didn't mean any malintent. She meant to have my best at heart, but probably, she cares about her job too. And when you're stepping up for somebody else in a work environment to your bosses, you're also putting yourself out there a little bit to be vulnerable. And that can be scary for your own position. And she hadn't been there for all that long. So, she didn't step up like I would have hoped, but I understand why.
So it kind of goes to show her true colors. And obviously at that point, like you said, when it comes to your job, like you can't F with anyone's job. And she probably was too fearful that if she had admitted what had truly happened, that she would be in a position later on that she did not want to be in. And finding yourself in that position when it is your fault, I think is one of those things that's really hard to admit to yourself. Mm-hmm. And she had a scapegoat, so she used it.
Yeah, it was disappointing. And quite frankly, we haven't really been friends since then. We haven't really talked, it's that if we were to cross paths or reach out to one another, we would be cordial, but we haven't really talked or seen each other since this particular incident. So, it is what it is. It's a mixed bag, when you're growing in an industry and you're trying to be a successful woman that has a big job and makes a statement in the world of professionals. You have a lot of learning experiences, and some are good and some are bad, but you learn from them all, right?
You do. And I think that those who are on top, maybe a little bit of a fear is that they know they're not going to be around forever. There's new, fresh blood coming in, and if you have even 1 ounce of insecurity towards somebody new, you're going to take that opportunity to slander them and to tear them down in the nicest way possible, instead of lift them up and say, hey, like I'm on the outs someday, like take my position. I want to help you and be better. I see potential in you. It's more just like you can take my place. Now I'm scared. So it's and I think that those are 2 different types of personalities, because,
yes.
Selling residential real estate, I could sit here and roll my eyes and say there are so many real estate agents in Scottsdale, in Phoenix. Most of them are part-time. Most of them don't do anything with their license. But I can sit and have that outcome or that mindset, or I can just be more positive and say, there's enough business to go around. Mm-hmm. There's enough business to go around.
Yes. And I think all of these experiences make you a better person and also a better leader as you grow in your profession, right? So now when I have people that I hire as I'm growing, whenever I'm in a leadership role or a boss position, I know how I liked being treated and I know how I didn't like being treated. And so I'd like to say that I've taken those experiences with me and that I treat people fairly in business and in a way that, I think we all should treat people. So
absolutely. You got to praise your people when they're doing something right. And when they don't when they fail in some way, shape or form, you still need to let them know. But again, going back to even just a friendship, like addressing it properly, maybe highlighting those things that they did well, but saying, hey, things you can work on. I'm not criticized. Like you have to be so clear these days because words can be twisted. As my dad says, words mean something and they do.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful with the words that you choose and your tone of voice that goes with it.
That I struggle with because I have such a big voice. Like, people sometimes think I am feeling a different way than I am just because I've got a big voice. I'm like, I'm not mad. They're like, stop yelling. I'm like, I'm not yelling.
That is your voice. I remember the first time I met you, probably the second time I met you, and we were going over to Diego Pops. I could literally hear you in the parking lot. I was like, oh, there's Kerry.
Oh, totally. When I worked
traveled.
When I got my first like corporate job in LA for this big hospitality company, my boss one day I walked in and he goes, you know, Kerry, I gotta say, there's one thing about you that's great. It's kind of great that you're so loud because I can hear you before you even walk into the building. So I know if you're later on time and then all the way down the hallway, but I know when you're here. Like, yeah, okay.
Which is funny because you don't even try. Like, that just is your voice. It's like you project so much. But
my parents put me, I did a lot of theater when I was a kid, musical theater, a lot of theater. So I just got that belly voice, I think. A lot of people ask me if I'm a singer, and I was when I was a kid. Haven't sang in forever, and no one wants to hear me sing now. But yes,
shower singing only.
That belly voice just stuck with me.
That's so funny. Hey, you got it. You embrace it. It is who you are. Like, there's no changing it.
Right. Yeah. That's just what, at this point I've accepted it. I'm like, I'm
just loud. I am loud. There's nothing you can do.
And now I EMC events and stuff. So, hey, I need a big voice.
It works in your favor.
You know, sometimes it works. You got to take the qualities and look at them as the glass half full, right? So
you totally do. Those things that you don't like about yourself are like, what are the positive things?
Right.
That's a good thing to do with friends, actually. Hey, these are things I don't like about myself. How can you help me see them as positive? That would be a great exercise to do with your friends.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good thing to do with yourself too. One of my good friends the other night we were talking about this kind of positivity, you know, just being positive yourself. And he told me about this journal he got on Amazon called a gratitude journal. And it just arrived and I'm so excited to start using it because it is kind of exercises and things you write down every day, but it's not tedious, right? They're just small little things you do every day. They don't take a lot of time, but you know, you realize as you get older how important it is to be internally happy, and then you can be happy for other people. You really can. It really does make the world of difference. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah, we can go on and on. I mean, I think we covered everything. Okay. I think the summary of this is just to obviously be happy with yourself, because when you're happy with yourself, you have the ability and the desire to keep your friends uplifted, elevate people. You want to add to people's lives. You don't feel like detracting. You're happy for someone, like we said. You can be a little envious of someone, like, oh, I'm so jealous of you, but you're in such a happy way. Like, that is a real feeling. And I don't think that's a negative feeling. I think that's a positive way to go about things. All in the way that you process and how you, instead of being like, God, she is in this big job. I want to be in this big job. Why is she there? She's not even that good. I would be better than her. And, you know, you need to take a step back and be like, okay, she worked hard. She is doing well. Congratulations. She looks great on TV, whatever, you know. And now you're giving me inspiration to put my butt into gear and to work harder and to like, you miss night owl and I'm a morning person. So like, you're telling me like, oh, I went to bed at whatever time in the morning. And I'm like, okay, I wish I could do that. But then I'm like, okay, but I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. So our hours are probably the same that we're awake-ish. You might be up longer than I am, but at the same, like, it's tilted. And I just think, I don't lost my train of thought. I think the moral of the story is that women friendships can be so incredibly empowering and can be so great for a woman in life, because when you feel good about yourself inside and you have a support system, which is so incredibly important to have a support system of friends that really do care about you and really are happy for your successes, you know, and really are there to give you good advice when you're down or whatever, you know, or you know what I mean? Just like respect you in that way. You will be a more successful person because of that. Absolutely. And I want to be around those kinds of women. I don't want to be around anybody who isn't like that. I want to be around women like you. And, you know, I'm so fortunate to have other really amazing women in my life as well. And all of them that are in my inner circle that I see all of the time encourage me. You encourage me, all the stuff that you're doing, so I sold like 3 houses last week, and you're helping me find stuff, like you're kicking butt, and when I first met you, I was so impressed by you. Like the first day I met you, even with your leg up in a boot outside of your car window, like Lauren pulls up, leg up outside of the window. I'm like, okay, what's up? Hey. And you have just like that.
Like surgery.
You had a legit excuse. Yes. And I've worn a boot before too, and those suck. So I actually felt bad for you. But, you just present with such confidence, and you were so cool right off the bat, and you're like, get shit done. And it's motivating to have people like that in your life. So women friendships, I think at the end of the day, is the moral of the story, are so important. And it's so important for us to lift each other up. And remember that, not cut each other down, even if it's somebody that you don't know. And if they've done something that you don't like, try to be the bigger person, because at the end of the day, like I said before, they're hurting more inside than they're hurting you with whatever they said.
Absolutely. And I think back to all of the different friend groups I've had, because that's something that was always said behind my back, is like, oh, she can't keep friends for very long. And I have heard that many times over my lifetime, and it always bugged me. And now it's like, I literally have, outside of my family, probably 3 friends that I genuinely love, care about, want in my life. I respect them. That's not very many people other than my family, to be honest with you. And it took me a long time to be okay with that, because I used to run around Old Town, and I used to always have, I knew everybody going out. I knew every bartender. I could get into anywhere I wanted to.
Lots of acquaintances, but not like.
Yeah, and they meant nothing. And it's like, when I look back on where I'm at now, and I see that, and maybe it just comes with time, maybe it's my personality, maybe it's age, I don't know what it is. But all of those empty friendships that were just about partying, just about what you look like. Like, I can't tell you how many times my girlfriends would come over and say, you don't look very cute, you should change. And I lived with my sister at the time, and I'd be like, oh, I don't? Okay, well, come help me pick out something else. And then we'd leave and we'd go do our thing. And the next day my sister would be like, she said that because you looked cuter than her, and she felt dumb that she didn't look as cute as you. You were going to take all of her attention. And I was like, really? That's not how I think. I would never tell a girlfriend, like, you don't look cute, unless I genuinely was like, maybe you should change.
But this is what I mean too. Like, I am not going to be friends with that kind of a woman, because I am not going to encourage that. I am not going to promote that. I am going to promote that women can have great friendships and not be catty, and be intellectual with each other, and be like strong and motivating for each other, and put fires under each other's asses, and be proud of each other. So I think it comes with age. It does come with age, where
I think it does.
You just weed out, you know what I mean? Because you only want to be around the people that have all of those qualities. So, it's not that you don't keep friends. I think it's just that you become pickier about who you want to be friends with.
Well, and then time. You only got so much time in a day and so much time in your life. And you want to be around those who enhance your life, but you don't know that until you have those experiences with those catty girls who really mean nothing to you, but you don't have that. You have to have the negative in order to have the positive at the end of the day. So
100%.
So go find yourself a good core group of friends who elevate your mood, who uplift you.
Like Lauren.
Find friends like Kerry. Girls rock. What'd you say?
Girls rock.
So thank you for joining us today. This is Beyond the House. I am Lauren House. We have Kerry Feirman. If you need to reach out to either of us, if you have questions, comments, obviously our Instagram names are below. So feel free to send us a message. We both interact with everybody. So we're on the Social Nostra Network, and thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.